Oh, we'll record.
Bang! We are live. All right.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. All right. So let me do the official welcomes and all that. All right. So we are here at the Art of Noise Artist Talk with Rodney Buck Herring. Is that your name?
Buck.
Buck for short, everybody. Buck for short. All right. So for those that don't know Buck, who is a cultural icon here in DC, Buck has, what have you done, Buck? You're an award-winning graphic designer. You know, you work for companies.
I'm an award-winning visual artist.
and visual artist.
I love it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh!
Let's start this over.
They're gonna censor the hell out of this artist talk. It's gonna be all kind of and they can put like little blurbs over top of our mouths and shit. Fuck it. 1 o'clock on a Sunday and first of the month.
There you go. All right. I'm gonna redo that intro.
Or just keep going.
Yeah,
let's just rock out.
I'm Wesley Clark with my guy here, Buck. Resident artist at Art of Noise this month.
That's right.
All right. So Buck, let's jump into this thing.
Okay, cool.
And actually, just for context, for those that see this later, Buck and I have been rocking out for years. So you might sense the informalities,
right?
Taking back and forth.
This is actually gonna be hilarious now. Now that I'm thinking about it more, I'm sorry to interrupt you, conductor.
Yes, thank you. All right, so just so people who don't get to see, your statement or what have you, a cultural crusader through visual arts, Buck is a multifaceted creative with work reflecting humanity's motivating forces while creating dialogue for its viewers. Raised in Baltimore, Buck thrived at Hampton University, majoring in art.
I did not thrive. I survived. Let's be clear.
It always reads better than the actual. After landing in DC, he found his artistic home here, utilizing passages of text and varied typography, layered with boldly silhouetted and highly contrasted figures to explore the various layers of human experience. Booyah. Let's get into it, Buck.
Word.
Let's get into it. Let's start with that artist statement, brother.
Cool.
We're going to start with the artist statement. That reads, in all things. I'm going to read this as well so we can check.
The funny part is I know you go about to pick this shit apart. So
no, man, I actually thought this artist statement was like pretty amazingly accurate and on point for your work and knowing who you are. So there is probably a bias that's taking place in there, but
that's right.
It starts off with man uses his ideas for the defense of his existence to frighten away reality. Wow.
That's some real ass shit. That's the
that is real. So then you give us from there a list of 20 directives, statements, thoughts to leave us with. First off,
honestly, they're not directives. They're literally just points.
Just points.
Points that points from my perspective that I not only agree with, but that if you know me well enough to know that I put a lot of thought into each one of those tenets or each one of those to be like it's kind of a personification of myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably wrong at this point in the day, but it's kind of like, yeah, like I can agree with those without putting too much thought in it, but to also provoke thought at the same time. So there's a space in there. It's almost like a meditation.
Right. Okay. A space and a meditation.
You know what I mean? Like it's like the things that you think about and the things that you know are right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I know that these statements hold some truth to them.
Right.
So I can I can find the space to kind of meditate on them and grow from there. You know what I'm saying? So, it should meditation should be about some point being able to find a path for growth for me. And so I feel like each one of these I can meditate on and I can move forward off of that thought, off of each one of those thoughts.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, so when you say that, or when like when I look at these, right? You know, the first one starts off, there is no one narrative, find your way. Right. And
Yeah.
so immediately to me, that's I'm reading this as the context of an artist statement, and like,
Right.
and so it reads like, okay, bang. Well, first off, you find your way through the work. And
Yeah.
okay. And so then, you are here, awareness, breathe. Your humanity is challenged every morning you wake up. I say good day to you, sir, madam, ma'am, which sounds very buckish. Come to terms with death, whereafter anything is possible, Camus. So so as I'm going through, like, some of these almost begin to read almost like a best hits from the work in a way.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
so each one of the pieces you'll see, and I know we're gonna talk about that too, but you'll see pieces of these in each one of the pieces, or you'll see the whole, you might see the whole quote. You'll see whole quotes, and you'll also see bits and pieces of quotes, but you'll see that this kind of an idea floats throughout the whole thing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like ongoing, like you should be able to read my pieces and put together a narrative. You know what I mean? So it should be this piece and that piece, and you can go back and forth, and you'll see how they relate. Because of course, they should all relate. And in my case, in this case, they all relate. You know what I mean?
So are you saying, but are you saying that even from one piece to the next, like how well, I mean, because the text is clearly one of your main elements that you use to the work, right? Obviously. What, like, how intertwined, I guess, are the pieces when it comes, as far as the text is concerned? Like, do you have one book that you've been reading, and in that you might just pull it in various pieces, or how do explain the text aspect as far as what you were saying, and the connection?
I guess for me, the text aspect is always what I'm finding interesting and what I'm studying personally.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm looking at I'm reading probably about, I don't know, 6, 7 books right now. And I'm looking, and so I'm going from the idea of understanding what real freedom is, to understanding what becomes when we become followers and we're not free. So you know what I'm saying. So I'm covering this range of freedom right now, right? And it's freedom of thought, freedom of movement. But I'm also thinking about what happens when you have mass movements, and how the brain works with interacting with all these different people and things. You know what I'm saying? People and feelings and pressures, pandemics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the piece is what I'm trying to do is like, I'm using text from what I'm reading, what I'm listening to, and how do I put it? It's just there should always be an overlap, right? So I'm going from piece to piece, and I'm continuing to think about those same ideas. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's not a straight up, it's not like a linear narrative.
Right.
But once you see the narrative, it becomes a patchwork quilt that becomes that is a singular idea in the end.
Okay.
Any sense?
Yeah. So I mean, so as you're working, I mean, you're pulling just from almost, would you say, intuitive basis, or like, when do you insert a quote? I
Oh,
mean,
that's So it depends on no, because it's not just I just don't insert. It's like it's twofold, right? It's you know me, so I kind of like I'm always thinking. Always got two trains of thought running, right?
Right.
So initially, if you look at a lot of the pieces, the background when I start because you know these are like we're talking about 5-6 layers of different things. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah, I mean the layers are deep, which is we'll get into that later. But yeah.
yeah, but one of I think the second layer is always text. The second layer is always text. So I'll put down a layer of color. So it might be a flat yellow. So I'm using like zinc cadmium or some shit right now. Yellow, right?
Okay.
So it'll be the flat color, and then I'll write. I may take a whole paragraph or a half a page from a book, depending on how long it is. You know what I'm saying? It might be a whole page. Write that down on the canvas. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm putting another layer over top of it, and another layer top over it, and then that's just that helps create structure. All right. So then I can build a structure off of that. But then when I come back in later on, so then I like halfway through, I'll start dropping a little bit more text in. And that's just kind of like, it gives me a breather from trying to, you know, work through the structure. So there's a point where it's kind of like, I'm using text to kind of like alleviate any stress around what I don't feel is comfortable. I'm explaining just how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
it becomes about comfort. And then after that, then the last layer of text is like when I go back and I'm popping over top of everything else. And that layer is more so intuitive because I'm going off of my feeling. You know what I'm saying? That's like, because at that point, my brain should be working at a point. It should be working almost like you said, intuitively.
Right.
So I've been reading these things. I've been listening to all these things. I know where these things are located in the books or like, you know, on YouTube or whatever resource I'm using at that point. I go back and find those things and just drop them in where I feel they're comfortable and they create a rhythm. But they're also like, if you read them and look at them, you'll see how they all connect. You know what I'm saying? But it should be at a point where I feel, I was gonna say relieved, but it's not relieved because it's not, because there's no feeling at that point. That's also a meditative point because then you're just, you know what I mean? When you're just in motion, in action, that's basically like a meditative state. It's just, you know that feeling because you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, when you kind of like a zone, like essentially.
Yeah, basically zone. I was in the zone. Yeah, all that bullshit.
Right. Okay, I got you. So even I mean, like I'm thinking about when you say like the second layer is always text.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, I don't want to say do you not care about it because you know you're about to get wipe it out. But like how important? Like I guess like how do you even determine like the importance of what you're writing per se at that moment, or is it just about what's in the moment and to get that layer, like you said, that structure down to get what you need?
It's great shit. That's always the hardest part because you put like down a layer of text. And this happens throughout the whole process for me. So that's why I have to put pieces away, and it's kind of learning. So it's the idea of learning impermanence. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing lasts forever, nothing's forever. You just got to keep moving. Cause like those, like I'm sure that if I just did these pieces where I just wrote on them, and just like, yo, this is for sale, niggas would be like, oh man, that is the greatest text I've ever seen in my life. Woo! That saying, I needed that saying in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I could just like that's so it's something I've been thinking about, man. Like, yeah, it's I'm trying to figure out how to say this shit for everybody and not be divisive. How to say it and not be divisive. That state is not a state of finality for me.
Right.
So me putting the text down even though at that moment when I finish the text and I look at it, I'm usually like, this could be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on my path, I'm not comfortable with that being where I stay,
Right.
where I
Right.
reside. So I don't want the piece to reside in text or to reside in just that part of the thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm trying to figure out what's my next, what needs to happen next. You feel me? Like
Right.
Okay, this text was cool, but what else could I do to this? What could go over this to that I can now? I want to evoke I want to start to pull your eye places because I don't just want you to read right to left. And then I'm going to start. So then what happens usually is I start to circle things and underline things. So I'm making this is the graphic design part.
Right.
Now I want to push your eye places on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being extremely deliberate. So, you know what I'm saying? And it's not smart. It's just how we know how your brain works, how your eye works, right?
Right. Being intentional.
I put a big red X over here on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And look at big red X, right?
Right.
So then I'm gonna pull you this way with a smaller asterisk and over here with a circle. So now I've got 4 words that stand out and your eyes move this way. So now it's time for that. And now it's time for that structure. So I can like move your eye around and now that text no longer matters. You know what I'm saying? But it's helped build this, it's building like this canvas, building these layers, and it's building all these other things that you can play around with. And now I feel like I'm kind of jumping. I'm gonna jump ahead so you can pull me back. But like
we're jumping all over the place. It doesn't matter.
yeah. But now what I've noticed is with what I've been doing is like I want to find like you know I've been posting them on Instagram. Like I like creating like these little details. It's not even little details. I like just finding everything that I see on the canvas now because now I've got this structure with all these different things. It's like circles and dots and lines because you got the text and now you got all these graphic marks over top of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden now I see like a faces and bodies. Then I can pull from my like library of like images and then I'm creating these other things over top of, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that, and I've already decided I was gonna use these images at some point anyway, but now I'm looking at like, yo.
Right.
And then it keeps going and that keeps growing. So I'm like, it's moving me along my path and it's covering all the bases that of course, maybe I considered at some point, but now I'm moving even past that to something else. Like the idea of the images or the image you see being used aren't about necessarily a singular person or group. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you, I mean, you know, it's just kind of like, I'm just giving you an idea. It's just an idea. This is just like a placeholder for whatever the fuck you want to put in here because you're going to see yourself regardless.
Are you talking about like the figures in particular are placeholders?
Yeah, I think the figures are placeholders for whoever sees themselves or whatever they want to see. Because then again, it goes back to the idea the narrative is yours to create. So if we go back to the beginning, it's your narrative. You're gonna see what the fuck you want to see.
Right.
You know? Like, yeah, does it
that big sigh. I just
because you know me, man. Like at a certain point, like I don't, you know, I know,
which is why I'm. This is me harassing you to get to get that out of you.
It's hilarious to me because I'm always like, you know, like people want to see certain shit, man. Like they're gonna see that shit and they get off on certain things, and I don't care about that as much as I care about you getting what I'm trying to get you a certain place. I'm utilizing the vehicle I have available to get you to your destination.
Okay.
And what I'm doing is whatever is necessary to make that vehicle available to you. You know what I mean?
All right. So so the destination though, which is another question I've been thinking about in terms of do you have a point? Where do you want us to go? Let's just say where do you want us to go?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So a quick answer to that is, where do I want you to go? I just want you. I think my idea is always that we need to be moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think and I think "we" is a dangerous word at this point. But I was just more
You
like,
said we is a dangerous word.
we is a dangerous word in this conversation at this point, because we would have, some would want me to infer that we would mean one group of people or one identity or one blah blah blah. I'm
Right.
not saying any one group, because that's the bullshit. And I don't want to create a division at this point.
Right.
We can create division when and if necessary in this conversation, but we don't need to at this point. What I'm trying to do is move us all forward. Like, humanity has to continue to evolve.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is, by whatever means necessary, get you all in the car, get humanity in this Uber, and get them to the drop-off point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
get them to the destination. So, hey, you guys should get in. You know, that life is good. We are all here existing. We're all
Right.
planning together. You know, fear. Oh no, we're scared of things. Yeah, we all are. Come on, get on in. You know what I'm saying? Just to the point where we get them to, we just want to continue to evolve. We want to move forward. We want to let go of the things that hinder us and harm us. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? And this is just, so if you think about, like, stylistically, I don't have a definitive style besides saying I use text. You know what I'm saying? I kind of
Right.
like, it's very collage, not on purpose. A lot of times I don't have the tools necessary to do what you need me to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, I don't paint like some of these niggas out here. You know what I'm saying? I don't quilt shit together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Build giant statues in my backyard, Wesley Clark. You know what I'm saying?
Me.
I don't have those abilities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So me, it's a mishmash of everything, and it's also, that's related back to graphic design, because we're gonna keep going on tangents. But that's me
Yeah.
being able to collect things. Like, I learned how to collect things. You know, when I worked at the museum
Mm-hmm.
45 million years ago, you know, one of my bosses was like, I ain't got much for you to do right now, motherfucker, but I just need you to collect images. And so I
Right.
learned how to collect images and imagery. You know what I'm saying? But I also had, like, resources like Reuters, and I had, like, all the news sources. Like, I go through AP at any point in time I wanted to. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I learned how to collect images and text.
Right.
And if you're working you're working in like a newsroom, it wasn't a real newsroom. It's technically, well, they did, every once in a while they use it as a newsroom, but you're reading a lot. You know what I'm saying? You're intaking information. My intake of information, the amount of information I ingested, or learning how to ingest and take in all this information, is just like, so I'm putting out, my output is any way necessary that I can put this imagery and this text back out. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my brain is firing. And then, you know, we're artists, so we're interpreting and relating and, you know, putting it back out whatever way our brain is working. And my brain may not work the same way a writer works or editor in chief works. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I see these things that overlap, and then I see how to pull it all together.
Well, let's dive into the work a bit, because I want to see how this plays into the creation process.
Okay.
Just the print that
We
I got
start
home.
the Devour piece.
So actually, that happened to be the first one up, but this one was actually the next one. Is the one I wanted to get to.
You want to skip
Well,
this one? Come back. What do you want to do?
well, you know what? Yeah, let's start with the next one. Not that one. Man, my order got messed up.
That's all good, man. It's only us on here.
All right. Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's only us.
This is the one I want to start with.
Oh, yes.
In all things.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, did you purposely? Well, this is the same title as the show. I mean,
Yeah.
so the title piece, the title work. So I
Yeah.
mean, this one it's really funny because looking at the show, I mean, this one is literally almost the embodiment of all the works in the show to me.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
From a stylistic approach, you have the old and the new kind of really converging here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you, but yet this is but creation wise, if I recall, like was we were in the gallery the other day, this one was I guess it was kind of like right at a tipping point in a sense, kind of right in the middle of things.
Yeah, but this is the one I would say, I think this piece, In All Things, is like the one where it's like I was feeling like definitive in a direction
Mm-hmm.
and switching modes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like a complete change. It's more like being a little bit more crossing boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
mixing. I think I actually had a verbal conversation. I mean, out loud conversation with a couple folks, where I was like, yeah, I'm just whatever I see, I'm painting, or whatever I see, I'm making part of it. And it started out, it's very structured, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's very structured, and then it's like, just going back over and top, going back over or over top of it over and over and over again.
Right.
And I'll see something that I felt resonated, including that, and then seeing that the whole thing was a feeling. Because it man, it's like points out. I was sitting in my bathroom for a second. It's like a huge piece that was like I didn't have any room left. I put it in the bathroom. This shit was huge in the bathroom. So it's just like so you can see. It's so like
That's how you study your work.
crazy.
It's probably some of the best place to study a piece.
You studied the hell out of that shit. Like, oh word, see where that could go. But it's like, but yeah, it was definitive in being like, it's not. I didn't necessarily have to stick to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could play. It's like it was this decision that like I could play more.
Now, again, this piece is one of these pieces where when I saw it via text or online, what have you, I was like, oh, okay. You know, like I didn't really know. I was like, oh, I don't know if he hit the mark on it, right? But
Right.
in person, when I saw it, this one was like it was clearly the piece for me. Like
Because
it's
that's the piece. That's the
like
piece.
you said that's what?
That's the piece. It is the piece.
It is the piece.
The piece.
And it's like the most, to me, of the work, it's probably the most difficult.
Yes.
Is that right? I mean, there's a lot of tension, a lot of action, a lot of like just complexity in there to me. And it was weird because I was like, at first I was like, I don't even know if I like it, but this is the one I have to spend money on.
But that's the point. And that's where I'm trying to. Okay, so that's where I'm definitely trying to get to, right? So if you look back at the Devour piece ain't finished. No disrespect, it's not finished. Now looking at the reality piece,
Gotcha.
like we were in the gallery the other day, and I was looking at because they're right next to each other in the gallery,
Right.
and in the virtual gallery. Bam, plug for the virtual gallery.
Plug.
But when looking at them together, I now know that this only stayed where it is out of my fear of moving forward.
Mm.
It took me forever to get it to this point where I felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point,
I wish I could put them both on the screen at the same time, but I'll just go back and forth.
you can't.
Nah, I mean, not without like, taking us all on the whole.
Damn you. No, so I see it. I see that to me at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and no disrespect, our whole family doesn't think this is a terrible takeaway. I just believe that now I'm looking at it like, yo, I could have just fucked this up and done whatever the fuck I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's the other thing. Like you get to a point where you're like, I can just do whatever I want to do, and it's going to be what it is, and I can walk away from it, right?
So that's exactly, when I saw this one again, I was like, okay, like it was almost too clean when I saw it in person, right?
Yeah.
It was like too clean, but I don't know if it was too clean just because I had reality next to it, and the fact that you titled the piece reality is also funny, but it would, yeah. And so I don't know if I saw it by itself, would I have even had those thoughts? I mean, because I love the piece.
Well, you wouldn't, and the thing is, and so I say this, and this is all in retrospect, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because when I finally got it to this point, even I was still like, what the fuck did I just do?
Right. Exactly.
And that's the thing, because it's like, yo, now I'm just kind of like, there's arms missing, there are limbs missing in this thing. There's all kind of like, there's a toucan eating a fish for no reason. I mean, because he's hungry, but why does he have a dial on his beak? Why does he have a beak? Why is there like a coon man with a skull cap on and a titty in the corner? You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's all that.
There's all that is in there. There's like all kind of craziness in there. But I think I was like, yo, I got it this far. I did this. Whatever I just did, I'm cool with it. So yeah, now I'm using, it's a combination. Where I'm using the Molotov markers, the Montana markers, Montana paints, the Beltron, which is Molotov, I think, spray paints. And then I'm also using brush, and I'm using a little bit of water too.
Okay.
So it's actually like I'm combining all of these together now to create the quality I want or the textures I want.
Right.
And you'll see just like straight up, like at some points I'm just like taking a fucking paintbrush and just going and going back over top of it. You know what I mean? Because I can do that.
Right.
And then so it's like as we mentioned earlier, there's probably a layer. I think there's a layer of text, and then there's a layer of paint, spray paint, then a layer of text, then probably some more spray paint, then me just kind of like formulating some kind of structure. And then you'll see where once the structure is up, then you'll see me go back in with the Molotov markers again. And I'm going with more detailed marker, maybe like a 1.5 or 2 millimeter, was it 2 millimeter? I think that's the size. I don't know these things, folks.
Thin line or thick line for us simple people.
Right. Thin lines and thicker. Thin lines, a thin marker, and then a thicker marker at certain points in time. And I'm going forth, and then I'm going back over with the paintbrush too, because now I've got it where the paintbrush is actually helping me not only fill space, because that paintbrush I've realized paintbrush will fill some space that you sit there with a marker trying to fill some space, and you're just like,
right.
Jesus Christ, this just took forever. This just took me forever to do. But if I take a paintbrush and do this, so the interesting thing I've also started to do, Wes, is like using so I ordered the refill bottles for the markers.
Oh yeah.
And I'm using those as my bottle of paint now.
Oh, okay.
So they're thinner and lighter than using like a bottle of like paint. You know what I'm saying?
Straight out the tube.
Right, straight out the tube. And they cover space, and they have a good. That's my new thing, but it's expensive. So you're like, but it's
I was gonna say they're pretty fluid, right?
Yeah, they're extremely fluid, but
exactly.
It's like, but then you're still worried about like when you go back later, how's it gonna hold up? But they are very fluid. So you'll see in this piece, I think I want to say a lot of the white areas may have been, I may have gone over it with, with the white, with the paintbrush with it, and then gone back over. But it's just like back and forth. Because there's like 3 or 4 layers of text.
Right. So
I
it's
mean,
funny because I recognized when I was in the gallery the other day, I was like, oh yeah, oh he's finally picked up a brush
yeah,
in
yeah.
some cases, because I was like, man. And in fact, I saw it was on In All Things was the first piece. Just the way I circled the gallery, I was like, my man, finally, finally picked up the brush with it.
I think what happened to me was like it hit me that like I kind of, it's not a regret. When I say this is not a regret,
Hmm.
I felt like I wasted a lot of time, and not that, and I haven't wasted time. I think I got caught in the minutia of life. I feel like I've just lived life, and I feel like there's been a time span that I was not producing what I needed to produce. So
Okay.
in retrospect, it's like now it's like, yo, you gotta produce. And so I'm trying to produce and create as much as possible. And I also have that energy. It's like a different energy now. You know what I'm saying? And so when we start talking about, we said the last 5 years, this whole idea, the ideas around humanity, right?
Right.
The last 7 years, the idea that like I can think more. Like my brain started to like open up. You know what I mean? I'm being very fucking basic as possible. My brain opened up, y'all. I felt free. And you also start to think about like, yo, like, man, I want to create. And like you're so happy to create. And once you start painting, you know that feeling like once you start working out,
Hmm.
then you want to work out more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You want to work out when you can. Yo, it had to be like, when was I? We got hit up LA because I was out in Los Angeles. I was out in LA and I was out there with LA, Lance Boogie. And I was like, yo, I need like some paper on the wall. And I started just doing pieces. And he's like, what the fuck? And I was like, but I was starting to feel it then, man. Like I just like my brain had reopened. You know what I'm saying? For
Right.
like it was time to start creating. And like now, like, yeah, I'm also competitive.
Mm.
I'm competitive as shit. You know this. So like I can't be sitting there looking at somebody that's like supposedly my contemporary and being like, I'm happy that this nigga's doing this shit and I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
not even because I'm trying to be better than him, but because I should be doing this shit too.
Right.
Like I do this. Like, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? And not just like, yeah, like you know, I think they called me a disruptor the other day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, motherfucker, I am. Like, I'm out here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if we're gonna have this whole, if we're talking, if we're being free, if we're being free and being open about this shit, like, yeah, I'm out here too. And everything you hear does not need to be the same exact thing that you've heard from everybody else.
Right.
You got room for all these cats that are doing their thing, that are like contemporary, same age group, not even same age group, that are out here shit, maybe went to school with me, maybe went to a HBCU, maybe went to whatever kind of school, maybe they're East Coast artists or West Coast artists. I'm giving my perspective. My perspective needs to be given. You know what I mean? Like I can do that. That's what I want to do and I need to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I think
Stamp.
yeah. Especially so I mean what sticks with me in particular is like you said, just that the idea of you've wasted time
Yeah.
doing whatever it was previously, and now almost like you, it's almost just like a backlog of that time that you've been not expressing, and that you almost have to catch up to yourself in a sense.
It feels like you feel like it builds up.
Right.
I mean, it builds up and you want to be constructive with it, right? And I've been allotted the space to be constructive with that. You feel me? Everybody doesn't get that opportunity. So it's
Right.
also being aware of the opportunity and the time frame to be like, yo, you got to go ahead and do this. Like if you don't do it now, does it matter? It won't matter then.
Right.
And it may not matter at all anyway. Let me put that out there to all of y'all who are just like, oh my God, it's the end of the world for me because I didn't create today. No, this may not mean shit in the end. But it's me putting it out there. Shoot the, that's
These two,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
these two almost work as like diptychs to
they are.
one.
They actually
Okay.
are. Um, We started at 1. So with the Find in Space piece, so what happened was, it was like, that was early spring, and it actually, the weather was pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was outside playing around with Horse You See spray, but I started out with like pulling paint.
Mm.
I took it outside and I was pulling the black paint, trying to create all these different textures and all these different feelings.
Okay.
So it's like all these striations of like black paint with like, I'm pulling them with like, I was using a brush, I was using a squeegee,
Mm-hmm.
and pulling paint. And then I started spray painting after that. And it created like a nice effect. And I went back in with I think that's marker. And it just really pulled together. And it was really just I was just gonna sell it as an abstract with nothing on it. Because people
Right.
they're like, oh, that's a dope abstract. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to shoot myself. I really want to shoot myself in the forehead. Because that shit was so like lame. You know what I mean? It wasn't lame, folks. If you liked it, that's an abstract, that's totally
Good for you.
yeah, but it was very on point, man. It felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like what it was supposed to be. Yeah, it felt good, but then it was like it wasn't speaking.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It didn't say shit. So in order for it to say something, I needed to add what I felt like was going on with the thought process with that beginning of the series, the Water Will Find Its Way series. That is kind of just more existential feeling of like, you get outside of yourself and you find freedom in some way, shape, or form. What does it look like? And what works out is that I was minimal with text.
Right.
And the structure became about using the space to define space, which is indefinable.
The show, in all things, it's amazing. It works.
Thanks, bro.
The work is working.
It
Congratulations. You've made it through another.
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
So yeah. I don't know how you close these things, man.
I just know that listen, we just out here working. Yeah, he's out here working, doing the best we can. I'm gonna say thank you to Art of Noise. Thank you to Sneak Shot Photography, aka Vicky, aka yeah,
right on.
In crime. I'm gonna say thank you to Wesley Clark.
Cheers.
Cheers, young brother. Shout out to the Old School AM radio crew. Why not? Shout out to my man Manito. You know what I'm saying? To Casa de Bracy, de Soul, whatever, how we say that. Shout out to the I don't even know what the fuck I need to shout out. It's out here, man. I'm out here, bro. We out here just trying to live, man. You know what I'm saying? Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wear a mask.
Wear a fucking mask. It ain't that fucking hard.
It ain't really.
What the fuck y'all protesting? Oh yeah, that's it, bro.
Cool. All right, good people. You've heard it. The man, Buck himself. He's giving you it all, man. He's laid it out.
Laid it out for you.
He's laid it out for you.
LA. We gotta get out there with LA Boogie.
I know.
LA Boogie.
Y'all go check out the show. The show comes down January 30th.
30th,
right?
Yeah, I think
so
30th.
Listen, you got a whole month.
So we're posting a virtual show sometime next few weeks to go along with this.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't get out the house. We got a few people that can't get out to see the show. So
this is true.
Gotta make sure.
I was allowed a brief exploration out the house, so to see this work. But no, I will say it is truly a show that if you can make it out, you definitely should. Seeing it digitally does not do it justice when, I mean, like as we've been seeing it here on the screen and such, you really have to, feel these works in person, which is, one would imagine that's often the case, but it is certainly the case here. And if you're in the DC area, then you have the opportunity to do so. I highly encourage you to see it. What gallery hours are like Friday, Saturday, and the rest of the week by appointment, I believe.
I think he was saying Wednesday through Saturday, select hours.
Okay.
And in limited capacity. Because we still in COVID, y'all. Wash
There
your
you
hands.
go. All right, bet. We're going to end this thing right here.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Wes.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you. Glad to be here.
No
Anytime.
doubt.
Thanks for asking me to be a part of this.
Who else?
All right, we're out.